This week on The Verdict, we are looking at influential horror films. I'm Lizzie Pegram.
I'm Paul Schuhart.
And I'm Tristan Sartor. In the heart of Texas in the 1970s, there was much to do, and friendly people to do it all with. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is no different, where the Sawyer family introduces some unfortunate people to the darker side of Lone Star State hospitality, complete with games where the winner lives, food made out of your own friends, and a good old bit of old-fashioned terror. Let's watch that trailer. I would say that Leatherface has been building his Facebook since before it was very cool.
Oh man, where do we begin? Because, see, now, and initially I'm thinking, yeah, Halloween was like the OG Halloween movie. It set the standard for movies to come. And then Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out in '74. So I'm like, oh, I just shoved my foot in my mouth. But like, and it was raunchier too. Like, I loved this one, and they did not care. I mean, I loved it. My nerves were a little shot though, because I watched this and Halloween just today, like back to back. And Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I know for like the final like 30 minutes, straight screaming, just screaming for the whole entire time. I had my earbuds in, so I'm like, let's turn that down. She's not done. No, she was screaming the entire time. Even when she gets away, she's still screaming. But it was really, it was really cool. A little nerve-wracking, not gonna lie, but you know, it's a 70s horror film and we love the cheesy.
Oh yeah, no, I just, you know, looking at it, you know, because I've seen it a bunch of times, probably my favorite like slasher series, just because the lore of it is very interesting to me. Mm-hmm. But one thing I found when I was looking back on it, kind of its influence, and I'd recently also seen House of a Thousand Corpses and Devil's Rejects, rest in peace, Sid Haig. And you could very much see that same like demented family influence, that whole like the creation of, it's not just the killer, because before this you had like Halloween, I think by this point you even had Friday the 13th, but you didn't have a point where it was almost like a blend of cosmic and slasher, where the victim has no influence on their environment because everybody's in on it except for them. It was kind of one of the first times you almost see, like you said, where you almost see where the bad guys win, where the bad guys are not only the most interesting part of it, but they win because they have this family unit, and it is taking the nuclear family and putting this really demented twist on it, which Texas Chainsaw was the first to really do that.
Yeah, you know, I actually found the production of this movie to be even crazier than the actual movie itself. Like, just trying to get this movie off the ground was insane. The writer actually he had a friend, and he would go to work, and then when he would come home, he would just like spend all night trying to do that, and then he would immediately go back to work. And they were doing this for like, I think it was like 6 weeks. Same. And then they were like, all right, let's just try to find someone to produce this thing. And they were just having such a hard time finding someone that was willing to put money up for this, because it was just so, like you said, raunchy.
Well, yeah, raunchy to say the least.
It was pretty. It's one of the few horror films that are still shocking then that it is today. You know, it's kind of like, whoa.
Exactly. Like you know, thinking about the people watching this during this time. That was some next level crap, you know. That was some scary stuff. Even Halloween couldn't even match up to it. And of course, you know, it makes us females just look really good most of the time. I guess it definitely made the guys look really stupid as well. But the first time when the first girl, don't remember her name because she's not important, but she, when she runs into the house looking for her boo or something, and then she's in that room just full of bones. And for some reason, this scene takes way longer than it needed to. She's just looking around like, and then we just see close-ups of everything. And the whole time she's like, whoa, what's going on? Look at all these red flags. Let me keep looking. And then it just keeps drawing out. I'm like, is she gonna get the hit at any time soon? And then it's the same thing with the other girl when she's, when it's the chasing scene first begins, which lasts, I know, like 20 minutes. And yeah, Leatherface is chasing after her, and you know, they're going through all like those branches and stuff like that. She could hardly get through it. And then there's like at some point where her hair gets caught and she's like, ah! And I'm like, girl, rip it out, leave it, you don't need it. And then she keeps going, and bless her heart, you know, and then she goes to the house, not knowing it's the killer's house, because she's like, hey, a house. And didn't piece together the information as to where he might have came from. So he runs in that house, runs upstairs, and there's that old dead dude in the chair, AKA Grandpa, and he's just, you know, and then that also takes her a hot minute. She's like, sir, help me, sir. And he's just, and then she's like, what's going on? Why isn't he responding? And then he sucks on her finger. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. It's funny that you talk about the dead man in the chair, because it kind of reminded, it kind of reminded me of Psycho at the very end when we like turn around and we see the mother. I don't know if that was a reference to it. I kind of think it is.
Oh, if it's not, they knocked it off for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know, it's just, like I said, especially upon rewatching it with so many modern iterations of that, like I said, that kind of inescapable terror aspect of it, because there's so many people that are on the killer's side. When the threats outnumber the people, is kind of, you know, you start seeing more like recently Resident Evil Biohazard had almost the exact same like feeling. When I first played through that, I was like, it's the Sawyer family. Okay, I know where this is going.
Yeah, right. And it gives you that sense of like horror, because you feel like you're alone with her and everybody's against her. So there's absolutely no way. And the one guy she tries to trust, AKA the guy at the gas station with his barbecue, and you know, he beats her with a broom. Y'all want to know? Y'all want to explain to me what was up with that? Like he had all these weapons and just whap, whap, and suddenly she's gone. She's out. The broom took her out, of all things. Not the guy running after her with a chainsaw, but a broom.
It was the 70s. It's probably a lead line broom, let's be honest.
I was actually reading up about that moment. That's a real broom that they're using.
Oh, yeah?
They couldn't find one that they thought looked real enough, so he was just like, I would just use a real one. And I think they took the handle off or something like that, and she said that it just hurt.
What a
like
trooper.
really hard.
Yeah, the poor thing. I'm also a little concerned, you know, at the very end, right before she finally makes her escape, when that big truck comes by and runs over the one brother. And then the random truck driver's like, oh God, we gotta go. And then he starts running with her, and all of a sudden she finds that the guy driving by with the truck. She splits, jumps in the truck. I'm really worried about the guy driving the semi. He kept going. I don't know where he went. You know, Leatherface is still wandering around. He's probably like, well, you know, there goes one. But this other guy's still probably somewhere around here, and I'm more concerned about him. He's the one that stopped to help her, and he still got screwed. So, I don't know.
I mean, let's talk about this dude, Leatherface, man. Like, as far as like iconic killers go, I mean,
the endurance.
Yeah, but so you can't get like more, because the thing is, before this, like, killers were very quiet. They were very slow and monotonous. This guy is like an apex predator. I mean, granted, if he was any more inbred, he'd be a sandwich. But at the end of the day, he's still an apex predator. You know, he's running his targets down. He's very loud announcing that he's not slow or methodical. He's not thinking this out. He's this family's mad dog, and it's really well done the way they portray that. I think they had him in like. He's actually a shorter guy, and they had him in like elevator boots or something like that. Yeah.
No, yeah, he was a tank. I mean, the endurance on that guy, because you know this young female, even she couldn't outrun him, and then he's keeping up with her the whole time. I'm like, wow, this guy, he must have worked out a lot.
But yeah, I think overall it was quite a lovely film.
Oh yeah, it definitely set the stage for the other horror movies, AKA our next one, which did follow second, of course. Which I thought was first. So this was released in 1978. We're talking about Halloween, which was monumental, like the other one, for slasher movie industries. I mean, even today. If you don't know already, this movie tells the story of a psychopathic serial killer by the name of Michael Myers, all right? And after being admitted to a sanitarium after killing his sister as a kid, Myers escapes 15 years later to fulfill his urges to kill again, okay? This movie was also one of the most profitable films with a budget of only $300,000, but earned a whopping $70 million around the world. Well, I mean, if you don't know already, just take a look at the trailer.
"15 years ago, I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face, the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
I'm babysitting the Doyles. The Wallaces leave at 7.
Come to talk with you again.
What about the boogeyman? The boogeyman is coming.
There's no such thing. Halloween night, it's when people play tricks on each other. It's all make-believe. The boogeyman can only come out on Halloween night, right?
Right.
Well, I'm here tonight. I'm not about to let anything happen to you.
Promise?
Promise.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
He's been here once. He's on his way. Tonight.
Families, children, all lined up in rows up and down these streets. You're telling me they're lined up for a slaughterhouse?
Death has come to your little town, Sheriff.
So I really Myers this film. I'm bad.
No.
Okay. This one was good too. Like I said, I thought it was the OG. You know, I was going to give all the credit to this movie, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre definitely clearly set the stage. But nonetheless, still an amazing slasher movie. Again, you know, we get to see these young kids just all like cut up and stuff. Oh, excuse me, that might have been loud. But yeah, I mean, it was really good. I love Jamie Lee Curtis, and I love the suspense. And that poor doctor, the whole time, he's trying to warn everybody, like, yo, for real, this killer's on the loose. I'm not playing. And everybody's like, it's fine. You know, he wouldn't come back to his childhood home or anything. That makes too much sense. And they just killing time and the whole time. But I think my favorite part is probably the end. Spoiler alert. When you know, very final scene, Myers falls out of the window, and they're like, he's dead, yay. And she goes, is that the boogeyman? He's like, I'm afraid so, girl. And then he looks out the window, and he vanished. And I like the doctor's face the best. It's just that, you know, this poker face, like, oop, did it again. This guy really can't get it together. Bless his heart.
Yeah, you know, this movie is amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it really set the stage for horror. Like before then, horror it was okay for films to, you know, kind of sidestep art in
Yeah.
horror films. But this one, John Carpenter, he really was like, you know, there's a scene in particular. It's really in the beginning. What's her name?
Jamie Lee Curtis?
Jamie Lee Curtis.
My girl.
She's standing out at her house, and she's looking out at her laundry, and then we see Michael Myers there, right? And he's just standing there, and then we get a cut to her, and then cut back to there, and he's gone.
Yeah.
Right? And so I was actually reading about this. It's like there would be no way for him to actually, actually run away right there. So right?
He's gotta be so fast.
I mean, it would be possible. So it's like this presence that he has out to the movie is like he's kind of like a ghost, right? He is always there.
Yeah.
Like at the very end, right? Like he falls out the window. We see the doctor. We see them there, and then they look out the window, and he's gone again.
Right. He's split.
He never really moves, but really it's the camera that shows us that he's moving.
Yeah.
And it's just so crazy. And it's like, I think because originally John Carpenter, he didn't want any sequels or any of that, but they kind of talked him into it.
Yeah.
And I think that was
they never
probably
stopped.
one of the worst decisions they've ever made.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the ending by itself would have just been,
Oh yeah, no, the sequels, in my opinion, because they started delving more and more into, especially the Rob Zombie ones.
Yeah.
They started delving more and more into the supernatural aspect of them, and I really wasn't a fan of it. I could say just because the hint that there might be a supernatural presence there is fine enough for me. That's what I liked about this original one. Is the hint that it may or may not be a supernatural thing is fine enough for me. The fact that it could just be a really impressive guy, really impressive stamina is also fine with me too. I I don't know. I think horror movies nowadays just they get too involved in explaining every little thing, and they don't leave any assumptions up to the audience. But that's just a general criticism. But as far as the movie goes, I mean, I would definitely say The Doctor is my favorite part of it, just because I've always been a lover of the experts on these people. Like any horror movie, creature feature, the guy that's the expert on it is always, in my opinion, the most interesting character, because they are the source of the information.
Right.
So I mean, the Doctor is definitely the most interesting part of it. And the fact that he keeps coming back in the other films helps me kind of accept those sequels. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I need that connection there. And it's like we were talking about with Leatherface having like that type of stamina, but like Michael Jackson, Michael Myers, he just like, you know, just slowly, but like a fast pace, you know, it's steady. But then, you know, when the camera turns, he just, you know, I'm sure. But like, so he goes into the sanitarium, kills his sister when he was 6, correct? Comes back 15 years later. So he's 21, right?
Yeah.
Our age, right? And when I really sat down and thought about that, I'm like, oh my God, I could do this. Just kidding. But he's like, if he can do it, anybody can. But I mean, and let's talk about the music though. And this, I mean, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre had plenty of good eerie music, but it was mostly just like, I don't know, like white eerie noise. But this was just overall just really good music. And you know, you hear that infamous Halloween music and you automatically know where it's from. And like even the, you know, that sticks with me too. Like,
oh yeah.
That's my favorite part of it, honestly, and it's consistent. But I haven't watched a lot of the sequels, to be honest with you. Maybe I haven't really had the desire to, because can't beat the first one. And poor Jamie Lee Curtis. I think, you know, sounds morbid, but like let's think of it in a rational sense. Michael Myers kind of did her a favor. You know what I'm saying? Because listen to me. Those weren't her friends. Okay, they were kind of mean. I didn't like them at all. You know, they were always making these little snooty comments about how she liked it. She was super smart because they were jealous. And, you know, they were always, you know, messing around with their boyfriends and stuff like that. Jamie Lee Curtis has plans, okay? Mad respect. And so Michael Myers just literally cuts that toxicity right out of her life. I think she owes them. You know what I'm saying? Those weren't her friends.
Every cloud does have a silver lining, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's what helped me think about it. I'm like, he's not that bad of a guy. I don't know.
At the end of the day, he has his reason.
At the end of the day, like maybe he just like really likes Jamie Lee Curtis and is like, girl, they ain't good for you. Let me take care of it, and just without all the drama.
You know, I think everybody needs a Michael Myers in their life, honestly.
Mm-hmm. I could name.
I can only hope that I am a Michael Myers to someone.
Yeah, that's what I aspire to be. I hope so.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just, man, 70s or just old horror movies in general, love, and they know exactly how to do it, how to tear up my nerves. I mean, it's bad, y'all. I mean, they're just, you guys, quit playing. Scotty, I don't know what his name was. There's one guy's name is Ben. Stop playing with me, don't scare me. And then it's just Jason standing there. Now Michael Myers, that wrong movie. Yeah. And then like remember he was in the sheet and he put on Ben's glasses and just she's like, Ben, quit playing, just get over here, you know, and he just and she's like, Ben, stop, and I just can't stand it.
It proves he's got a sense of humor.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
put the glasses on the outside.
He's not without sense of humor.
Again, I don't really hate this guy. He's my age. Maybe he's an attractive single, but you know, this next movie kind of is a little more current, so we can discuss that.
So our next movie is The Witch. It's about a farmer, his wife, his children in New England, and the youngest son actually vanished, and so this family blames their oldest daughter Thomas on it, who was watching the boy at the time of the disappearance. And Thompson is actually, well, they think that she's playing with witchcraft, which is not a good thing at this time, really bad. And so it really tests the family's faith, their love to one another, and really society as a whole. Let's watch the trailer.
What went we out into this wilderness to find? Leaving our country, kindred, our fathers' houses. For what? For the kingdom of God. Let us pray.
Curse this family.
Who's there?
Oh God, my Lord, I now begin. Oh, help me and don't leave my sin. For I repentant now shall be. From evil I will turn to thee. None ever shall destroy my faith. For I repentant now shall be. Oh God, my Lord, I now begin. Oh, help me and don't leave my sin. For I repentant now shall be. From evil I will turn to thee.
Let us leave the wood.
Like my coffee, like I like my goats. Black and full of witchcraft. I love this movie so much.
I really did. I saw this last night for the first time, and it was so good. I mean, I love anything to do with like witches and like eerie, and you know, they're all by themselves. But I'd like to point out that the witch kept taking the wrong ones. You know, she took the baby, and then she took the small boy at first. Meanwhile, these twins, man, I don't know. She clearly kept picking the wrong ones, and maybe just because she could, because I was ready for them to go. I don't know about y'all, but I couldn't stand the twins.
Same.
I was ready for but yeah, I think, oh wait, no, they did die. Well, worked itself out.
I mean, it definitely has the one thing I will say that I do like about modern horror is the ability to build suspense.
Yeah.
Some movies like really nail the ability to build suspense, and the Witch is no different. Like there's such a slow burn aspect to this movie. Honestly, the only thing I could really liken it to was The Hateful Eight. Mm-hmm. And this sense of slow burn isolation, and the combination of the two, you think would make for a very kind of sleepy time, dull film. But at the end of the day, this combination of isolation and suspense building really, really works to the film's advantage. Definitely. Because it happens at just enough of a pace that you're not dozing off on it. But at the same time, it doesn't tell you everything that's going on, which I think is such an interesting kind of dichotomy to our other two. Mm-hmm. Just because the other two, everything's explained. The doctor in Halloween explains everything. You know, the family, just the way they converse in Texas Chainsaw, they explain everything. The dynamic is very well understood. The dynamic of this family to the environment that the witch exists in is never really explained.
Yeah.
And at the end, you really only have one instance of direct contact, and then done.
But that's what's cool, though, is that we do see the witch like pretty early on. Like she's immediately shown, you know, butt naked, and like, you know, and this is after, you know, that the baby just disappears. Yeah. And like, so that was pretty cool. He just kind of fell away with the wind. And she's playing peekaboo with him, and she looks down for a hot minute. I don't know why it takes her so long to realize he's gone, but she just stands there like, wasn't there a baby just there? And then, you know, and then he's gone, and then we see the witch with the baby. And again, I don't think we really ever see her face, except maybe towards the end we see a little bit of a side profile. But oh man, she's cool. Yeah. I like her. And we just see her, you know, I guess bathing in the baby's blood, I'm just assuming. And then she's like laying on the floor and doing whatever, doing her thing, as one does. But I mean, I love the witches aspect. I love witches, y'all. And at the very end, you know, she's lost everything. And then I'm thinking this anyway. I'm like, you know, she should just be a witch, correct?
Yeah,
you know, she's gotten this far. She's got to be pretty familiar with it all. And then all of a sudden, you know, she's talking with that goat. Goat talks back. She rips her clothes off, again, as one does. And then she just walks into the woods. And there's these women floating around a campfire. I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't do the same exact thing. I mean, like, I'm on my way. You know, you ain't got nothing to lose. Let's go float around a fire.
Yeah, you know what I love about this movie is just like the cinematography in this movie. It's just insane. It's that for me, that's where the horror comes in. It's just like you get these long, drawn out shots, and you're like, what am I supposed to look at?
Yeah.
Right? And then like we get shots of like faces up, like. It's like it's too much of a face, right?
Yeah.
Just like we see too much of the baby and then her, and it's like the peekaboo. And it's just like every time I see that, it's like I cringe a little bit, but in like in a good way. Like I'm frightened because I'm like something's gonna happen, and then like the baby's just gone, and you're like, oh my gosh, right? Like these two images that are continuously repeated to me, right, over and over again, and then one's just taken, and then we get like a zoom up, and then just like a little bit of the wind moving around. I see this style being used in like everything now.
Yeah.
Like I was watching Under the Silver Lake. It uses that a lot as well, and I'm like, that's not even a horror movie. Like this movie's just has broken the mold so much that it's just like seeping into other genres of films. I think it's so awesome.
But it's so good. There was something I was going to say. I'll let you go, and maybe I'll remember it.
I gotcha. I don't know, just the menacing nature of it, just like you said, when it takes so much time to build up, and you get this sense of menace. Another film I guess I could liken it to, oddly enough, would be No Country for Old Men. Because in the same way that Anton Chigurh is just so menacing, and you actually rarely ever see him in action, yet his presence. Same thing with the witch. You know, you rarely see her in action, but when you do, it's just so menacing that it always carries weight with it. And next week we will be going over Disney Halloween, a little bit of a lighter subject there. We'll be going over Hocus Pocus, Halloween Town, and the Haunted Mansion. Y'all have a good night.